comment on our Raveneye Week videos for your chance to win Operation Crimson Stone. We'll be choosing 3 winners, one from the comments on YouTube, one from OnTableTop.com, and our Cult of Games members get an extra chance to win.
Hello once again, I'm joined by Carlos Killian from Corvus Belli to talk all about Infinity Raveneye, and this time around we're going to be taking a look at fire teams.
Yes, the new fire team rules. Yep.
That's it. With the arrival of Raveneye, okay, which is the narrative event that triggers the whole wave of content that we're receiving, Corvus Belli, apart from releasing the Morat Aggression Force, Dire Force, T-Rock Hunter, Raveneye, apart from updating all the armies in the army app or all the database, is releasing the PDF file of the new updated N4 Fireteam rule, okay, which is...
People have been waiting for a long time because the rules have remained unchanged since like late N2, I think, at
Right.
this point. But this is a big change for me.
Yeah, because of the huge spread of this rule has with the shenanigans of every single army and the importance of it, and it is one of the most meaningful rules of the game. Many things to talk about here. Okay, first of all, let's put that screen right there. Okay. Okay, free for download PDF file, available on March 24. I don't know if even this same, right now we're publishing this video on the same day that the army updates. Army updated on March 24th, new fighting charts and new units. So the whole wave of content happening, okay. First of all, philosophy approach. Corvus Belli states now that digital overrides physical. That's why there is not the fighting rule inside the book, because at some point, if needed, Corvus Belli will edit the rules, okay? It has happened already with FAQ, okay? So, a new fireteam rule that is digital and is about the introduction of fireteams in the whole set of Infinity. What can we say? Philosophy approach to the rule before even getting into detail, distinguishing between pure fireteams and mixed fireteams in a certain way.
Right.
And also building a writing rule and building a kind of listing their units in a way that allows Corvus Belli to have control over every single army and profile. More than writing every unit listed here can make a fire team, having more control, having a more dense chart, but that chart tells you everything and that chart can be edited and updated in the army. So suddenly, right now, Steel Phalanx is one thing, and later in the year it will be another thing. And if we want, change it. Okay. Digital overrides, digital can be updated. So if suddenly, for whatever reason, the game is suffering in this part, okay, update that.
Somebody finds a broken fire team and they just start spamming it. And we know what the internet's like. Once one person has discovered a way to get the maximum filth,
or find an exploit to the rules or something that hadn't been thought of.
It will go around the world in no time. And it's a good way of rebalancing for the tournament players.
The architecture of a living game.
Yeah.
So
and this is for the living rulebook now as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So instead of it being a print rulebook now with all the rules inside, it'll be a digital file that can be updated and changed as required. So things like the FAQs will go straight into the rulebook.
Correct.
Within the rulebook, and so it'll be a consistent document.
And we come from years of trying to make a rule that doesn't override another rule because it's in the rule book and the rule book cannot be denied or nullified. That philosophy is gone. Now everything will be digital and living game. That's it. What the approach when writing this kind of stuff. Okay. So moving on. Okay, what we have there on the screen is Fireteam's size bonus, and it's nothing too different from what you're used to. Looking at those silhouettes over there, what can we see there? Okay, I can see 2 normal regular units, and I can see there a mercenary or a hero or a heavy infantry right there. Okay, that is a mixed fire team. Okay, and the fire team is composed by different kinds of units. What bonus do they get now with the new fire team rule? Okay, when they are a fireteam of 3 members, they get BS attack plus 1 burst. Okay.
Yep, that's standard. That's the way they work at the moment as well.
When they are 4 members, they get 6 cents. And when they are 5 members, they get BS attack plus 1. And until now, it was usually plus 3, which was the more meaningful modifier here. Okay, having the skill of shooting higher. Okay, now it's just plus 1. And that is how mixed fire teams, is the way I call them, will behave from now on.
So that would be any fire team that is different units. For example, if you were playing Pano, one of the sectorials, and you had 4 Fusiliers and an Orc in that, that's a mixed fire team. Or if you were playing something like Steel Phalanx and you had Terracotais plus a Myrmidon or something like that, mixed fire team. So if they're not all the same unit, or they don't all count as the same unit, now they're going to have mixed fire teams.
Okay, everything has been stated. Moving on, next image. Okay, and now we take here an example of looking at a pure fire team. Look at all the silhouettes. Everybody's saluting. Okay, everybody is there. They are all Fusiliers, or they are all Alguacils, or they are all the same. Okay, if the fire team is composed of coherent unit profiles, or their unit profiles or the members are labeled as coherent, then they will have extra additional bonuses, which goes like 3 members, discover plus 3, 4 members, BS attack plus 1, 5 members, BS attack plus 1, while still keeping the previous bonuses.
Right.
Yeah.
So apart from the size of the fire team, is the composition of the fire team that creates extra additional bonus to the roll.
And I really like that change, because when you're building a force, it feels like you're not being penalized for taking a coherent fire team. Sometimes you would look at it and go, well, why would I take 3 of the same? Why would I take 3 or 4 or 5 of these guys when I can do a similar or better job by having a mixed? Whereas now you have a reason to take I suppose the mainline troopers is a good way of saying it. You have a more consistent theme.
The idea is now that when you have mixed fire teams, you might want to have a mixed fire team, because you can bring in one of these wildcard troopers or another type of unit. So in the example of Fusiliers backed up by an Orc,
there was tricks like boosting super heavy infantry, were the cheapest guys available to have the 5-man fire team, and where the super boost Orc or whatever is delivering 15s consistently and stuff like that.
Yeah. So in that kind of case, if you want to have the mixed team, you can add in these guys who provide versatility and might have their own bonuses, but you don't have that.
You don't have the huge stacks on top.
And it's important here to say that even if you have, for example, 4 Fusiliers plus an Orc, you don't get the comp bonus for 4 plus 1. It still counts as a mix. They all have to be the same for it to be a comp fire team or composition fire team.
Okay, now moving on. Let's apply this new acquired knowledge to Morats. Let's take a look at the Morat sectorial army, which is something that you couldn't wait for. Okay, there you go. Okay, and now we have availability, wildcard, and Morat. Okay, Morat as a new label here. Okay, why? Because Morats, the units labeled as Morats, are going to count as a coherent unit profile. Okay, in a certain way, all Morats making a fire team are now getting the composition bonus. That's the good news here. Okay, it's like instead of having 5 vanguards and they have the composition bonus, no, you can mix a vanguard with a Dartok and a Jaugat, and they will still all have the composition bonus because they are all Morats. Okay, so Morat back in the day, as you remember, Killian, was an ability that was like religious troop plus veteran. Okay, but now in the M4 way of writing things, they already have religious troop as veteran. Now the Morat trait has become composition bonus when you have a mixed fire team.
So it's like a tag basically. If you have units that have this Morat tag, they count as Morats.
They count as Morats. So even though somebody may be taking Vanguard Infantry, Cyber Combat, and what's that? A Yaugat Strike Infantry, because they all have Morat on them, they count as being pure fire team when it comes to those bonuses, the expanded bonuses for not mixing, which offers up a lot of, I suppose, compositions you can build without being restricted so much.
Flexibility and certain privileges. But that's not all. Moving on, next images. This is, this has been put together for you guys, okay? This is a way of putting on the screen the information I want to share with you. This is the Fireteam chart of the Morat Aggression Force, and even this has not all the info that needs to be explained here. There are Morat Fireteams. Look at that. Now we have columns here for minimum amount of troops required for assembling one of the Fireteams, maximum amount of units allowed in the Fireteams, requirement, okay, at least one of these units must be in the Fireteam when you are assembling it, okay, and Morat, which is the same column as before. The Morat has the privilege of having the composition bonuses. So, Morat Fireteams, Core, Harris, and Duo are allowed to be a Morat Fireteam. At least one of these unit profiles, Vanguards, Kurgats, Suryats, Kaitok, Jaugats, or Dartoks, must be in the Fireteam when assembling. At least one of them, okay, not all of them. And did I say Dartok? Dartok, no. No, Jaugat, Kaitok, Suryat, Kurgat, Morat, at least one figure has to be present when assembling the Fireteam. And all the ones with Morat has the composition bonus. I can see no minimum required. So there's no specific need for the Morat Fireteam to have one specific figure. Right. That doesn't happen with the Hungry's Fireteam over there. That requires absolutely an OSNAT FTO to be able to make the Fireteam. Okay, that's a minimum required. Okay, apart from that, those are the Hungry's Fireteam is a very special Fireteam that you know is an OSNAT, like a shepherd of very brainless beasts, which are the Hungry's, and she, in a certain way, is able to make them assemble a core or even a Harris Fireteam, okay? And then you have over there Tarlok Fireteams, okay, with another kind of profiles over there. Tarlok is not written there, but also when they are a Fireteam, a Tarlok Fireteam, and you set that on the game table, they also get jungle terrain, which is not very useful. I mean, jungle terrain, okay, is more like a fluff stroke over there. But consider what this means. This means that we have Fireteams with names, and the rules and the chart can assign extra abilities to them. And that is architecture regarding the rule. Now we can have Fireteams with names in it and extra special abilities in it. In any kind of army. That suddenly the rule, the flavor of the army has, hey, this Fireteam, special here, just for these guys. And when you put them together, they get superpowers, whatever. You know, this is something now that can be implemented in the army for your army. Oh, yeah. Okay, so that is regarding the structure of the rule and how it has been written can happen. Okay. Then you have plenty of unit profiles that can make Fireteams, and then you have, for example, Krakow Renegades Fireteam, okay? There's a special label for the Renegades that is going to be Renegades, okay? Written with parentheses. That means that among them, they can get composition bonuses. So if you are able to put, Kendrat and 2 Kakots, they will get also the composition bonus of 3 members, okay? But that means that there are also these traits that will be in every army, okay? Suddenly you will see Uma Sorensen in Varuna having Uma Sorensen, Fusilier. Yeah.
So that means that basically she can be in a Fusilier Fireteam and it still counts.
And counts as a Fusilier. Usually that was added with a note, a handwritten note by the end of some rule, and it was, okay, fine, because I was making this kind of graphics before. Now it's like, in a chart that will be featured in the army app, there's a button and the chart comes and everything is there. Okay, so now when you see parentheses, Renegade, Orc, Fusilier, Alguacil, this guy who is not an Alguacil counts as an Alguacil, and that means composition bonus can be applied to this.
And I suppose by going digital like that as well, it means you're both future-proofing new releases and also having the ability then to, if something turns out that it's not as powerful or not as prevalent on the tabletop, then maybe they could get a keyword to drop them into a Fireteam, or alternatively, in the future, they could have it removed.
To take out as well.
So
has to do with game balance and has to do with release schedule. I mean, as you can see, in Infinity right now, we are not covering all the sectoral armies. They are there, but obviously these are getting their moment right now, and these will get their moment later, and probably a super box will be released next year for these guys, and this is constantly updating and touching, and now everything is digital and can be edited, and suddenly this army is getting new privilege here, and the fighting rule reflects that. You know, that's allows that.
There are two armies that worked slightly differently. There were Steel Phalanx and Toa, which had different types of fire teams, triads and Corvus.
And the Motarcos,
That's the changes there are going to come down a little bit. They're going to have the same sort of thing applied to
Well, on March 24, all the army will update, and that will contemplate and introduce the fighting chart for all the armies. So it's an update. But the window is open for several updates of other armies in the future. Okay, because it was like that with unit profiles, but now fire teams are already in the army, so that allows armies to be updated. The architecture for the rule is now written and is now published. So moving on, and we keep learning stuff. Fighting Morat privileges, because these are notes that regarding the Morat aggression force are included, but you will see this for all armies. Maximum amount of core fire teams, 1. Maximum amount of Harris fire teams, 2. So there can be 3 fire teams simultaneously Morats on the table.
It is pretty scary and unusual.
Fire team duo, limitless, okay. The Morat trait guarantees fighting composition bonus, which is something that we addressed already. And look at that. Tarlock fire teams, all members of a Tarlock fire team are considered to have the terrain jungle skill. Hungry's fire teams, members of the fire team will be regular and will not apply impetus as long as Osnath FTU is part of the fire team. If Osnath stops being part of the fire team, the whole fire team will cancel. Something very similar will happen with Imperial Service, with the Celestial Guard that puts together a fire team with 1 Cs. Note, if the Celestial Guard is down, the fire team breaks. Okay, it's that kind of note because it's very special and very fluff oriented.
The leader needs to be there to control the other ones.
Renegades fire team. Renegades is a fire team trait that guarantees composition bonus only among other renegades. Happens just with the Krakots. It's a rule, but it's a fluff stroke over there because the Kratos renegades are almost rejected from the Morat society. So they no longer count, especially in a so duty-oriented culture as the Morats. Okay, Morats were honor and pride until they almost extinct themselves and to destruct themselves and genocide whole races of Morats, and then reborn as a new culture, and they become discipline and duty over everything, over honor even. So they cannot tolerate a Krakot being among them. Okay, it's dishonor, but the renegades can make fighting with composition bonus among them. Fluff, rules, sometimes they fight each other, sometimes fit each other, okay, is part of it. You can see the beauty of it. I mean, requires an extra label, an extra text in order to put it in the game, but is in the game, you know. And finally, all wildcards are considered to enjoy the Morat fighting trait, which is already addressed in the chart. That means Raktorak, Aniat, and Kornak Gazarot.
They can all join teams and get that comp bonus, which is very good.
And the Raktorak has availability of 2, so it's a wild card, but you can use it, and the Raktorak is a great profile.
It's fantastic, really good.
Fantastic stuff. So, fire teams then.
Well, there's a few other things about fire teams, so this is important. I know people watching this are going to have questions about it.
Many questions will arise, and Corvus Belli will do the best in order to address it. First of all, read the whole rule. Don't watch Bostria in a video speaking with Spanglish and trying to understand and guess the whole rule from it. I'm just trying to make some visuals here, some graphics in order to be easier to digest. Okay. First of all, read the rule, please. The whole rule that has been updated and probably published probably today. Then watch the video. Okay. Then look at the army and try to guess everything. And then let's shoot questions. Okay.
I'll give you one straight away that I noticed as well. The first thing I asked Carlos when I saw that is if you have a 5-man team where it's a mixed, say you have 4 Fusiliers and an Orc, and you lose the Orc, then the team becomes all Fusiliers, then they get the comp bonus.
Right.
So when they're 5 with the Orc, they don't have it.
They don't have it.
But if they lose the Orc and they're all Fusiliers, they do get it.
They do get it, right.
Because if you read the rule, okay, and at some point you will read specifically the line that the fireteam bonus are calculated before making a roll. So that is when you check the coherency of the units, okay? Is when you're in a new order that has been spent, you are going to perform an action. Okay, I'm going to shoot at there. Okay, which guys do I have here? Let's put the camera. Okay, these are just markers, just consider them markers. And this is the fireteam leader. Okay. But this is a Fusilier, and this is an orc, as Killian said. Okay, if they are going to shoot at someone, they will have the size bonus, but not the composition bonus, because this guy is not like the rest. Okay, and this guy now dies. And now, in a new order spending, this fireteam is going to perform an action. Now they check the composition, and they say, okay, fireteam leader shoots with all the bonuses from composition because we are all Fusiliers. That is one thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Another thing is that the requirement trait that you will check there that says at least one of these units from all these unit profiles is required in order to assemble a fireteam when spending a command token. Like this, you spend a command token and you assemble a fireteam. like this. Okay. This guy here is the required guy. You spend a command token and you assemble the fireteam. This is a fireteam. Then this guy dies. He was not the leader. The leader is this one, whatever. But the fireteam stays because the specific text of the rule mentions specifically that you just needed the guy when assembling the fireteam.
Right. So
then the fireteam stays even if the guy dies.
So some parts will be specific on the assembly of it, and then other parts will be at the moment where the actual combat or shooting is actually taking place. So
Correct.
You need to, you need to actually check exactly the wording for both.
Yeah, that's tremendously specific, but it's how it has been put together. Okay, and those questions come out when the fireteam has all the requirements. Regarding even theoretical gameplay, makes me think about, for example, the most basic common guys, the vanguards here, spreading them on the fireteams, because they are the cheapest guy required to assemble a fireteam.
Sure.
Just with the presence of one of them, you can assemble the fireteam. So suddenly, instead of having all the guys in one fireteam, no, bring a few of those to other sides of the table, because just by having one of them, I can assemble another fireteam with the powerful guys over there. But you know, having these guys, the same happens with the military orders. The Teutonic Knights are also now required to make a military order fireteam, apart from the Crossers. So that makes them like, oh, fine, useful, you know.
Yeah, you can, I suppose, spread the love somewhat. You can, and again, it's the flexibility of the list building then. By having them able to assemble fire teams, it means that you've got that potential to be more effective in the mixed fire teams, or you can try and assemble, well, in that case, they would be Morats anyway, so that you could still have a pure fire team with them, but by having them combined together, then it becomes slightly more effective. It's a very interesting rule that's been put together.
The rule has grown in complexity, okay, but brings a lot of flavor, okay, because it's going to make every single story army more special, more specific, and more, suddenly the list building has like, oh, boom, 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 and you enjoy Infinity without even playing, just list building, which is a joy to make with the army app.
And more thematic for different armies, having these different types of fire teams that they can take, which makes it sort of a little more interesting to play that particular faction as well.
Fantastic stuff. Well, there you go. That is a brief overview. Very brief for the fire teams.
Read the PDF.
It should be available now. If you're seeing this video, you can go over to the website and just have a look at the PDF and then get stuck into some list building. If you've any questions, drop them below. We'll pass them across to Carlos. We'll pass them across to Killian, who will then answer them. Otherwise, we shall see you for the rest of Raveneye across this week. Bye-bye.
Comment on our Raveneye Week videos for your chance to win Operation Crimson Stone. We'll be choosing 3 winners, one from the comments on YouTube, one from OnTableTop.com, and our Cult of Games members get an extra chance to win.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.